Ugh. Good morning. Welcome to this channel, Gray Cloudy Day. I'm Gray Cloud, your host, I guess you could say. Gray Cloud Sage of the eternal moment. Trying to stay focused on this moment rather than well, I'm not going to ask all the usual routine questions like, hit the whatever, because, it's not like I'm getting thousands of views per video anyway. That's always up to the person watching if they can even remember to hit like. Today's I didn't know I was gonna get emotional like this, but I knew I was gonna be talking about something. I shared with y'all yesterday a little bit about mom's the circumstances behind mom's death and everything, which was an arson house fire. Today's the anniversary of that. The actual fire would have been raging at around 2:30 in the morning. Like by the time the neighbors got up and realized it was going on, it was too late. The fire had already made it back towards where my mom's bedroom was. The house was go. It wasn't at the bedroom yet, and I remember my neighbor. Well, I wasn't living there, but I remember the neighbor Nancy saying that she was standing outside because the fire hadn't completely got to the back of the house yet, where mom's room was. When Nancy finally heard dogs carrying on and everything, did get up and go out and realized the house was completely about to just completely be gone. She did stand as close as she could without getting hurt because it was ablaze, close, as far away from, or trying to holler and scream at my mom's window. But I'll leave, if y'all didn't watch that video, you can go back and watch that. I discussed how they, made me take, they didn't make me, but asked me to take a polygraph test 3 months after the fact and all this other stuff because blah, 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 blah. You can go back, watch that video yourself. It's about mourning and grief and all that. And I discuss a little bit about being looked at as a suspect and then taking a polygraph and all this other crap. The worst part is 20 something years later, it's still unsolved. Now, I did mention to you guys that they had investigated magic and stuff, and then once they realized I wasn't the person they needed to be looking at, they continued to, because after I took the polygraph and everything was squashed on that end, where I wasn't a suspect anymore, they could move on with the investigation. They were just doing a process of elimination, I can't hold it against nobody for. I shook the man's hand after he apologized to me for that, but he was just doing his job. This past week, from last week when I started on Monday, if you'll remember the weekend before, I had made a goal that, okay, starting on Monday, I am going to start getting up a little earlier again and start trying to put my best foot forward. And that is what I have done every day since last Monday. And here I am again, early in the morning on this Monday, a week later, uh, talking to you guys. So that's a plus. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I'm an emotional person this morning. But what I was getting at is I'm trying to stay in this moment. Now, I said yesterday in the video, and I can feel it right now. You don't have to believe me, because I'm not asking anybody to believe me. But there's several people here with me right now. Their presence. Mom, Sarah, my brother. My brother James doesn't really show up that often. But yesterday, I can assure you, in church, when I had I knew that Mom was there. I knew that. Let's just say I know that the people that have went on from this physical realm that are actually still here. It's just we can't see them right now, but they can see us. They can anyway. They don't want me to be sad like this. So that being said, I'm not really sad. I'm just overwhelmed. You know, after 20 something years of living with it, and trust me, I went in and out of hospitals. Now I did. The first time I was ever in a mental hospital, Mom was still alive about a year ahead before she was killed, murdered. But after that, it was like, I don't know how many years, 13 to 14, 15 years of in and out of mental hospitals multiple times a year. I overdosed, I don't know how many different times on different meds purposely. I was hurting myself a lot, even if there was many times I went in where I wasn't actually trying to kill myself, but I was definitely hurting myself. And I was hurting myself because I couldn't get out of my head, and I was experiencing something of, chime in here if you've ever had this feeling. Now, a psychiatrist one time or a therapist told me there was a word for it. Now, I haven't looked it up in a long time to see what that word is, and so I can't remember it. But the feeling of no feeling. You see, let me state this. My dog Ladybird ain't been back. I ain't seen her since yesterday afternoon. And I'm worried. She's not came back. I don't know what's going on. My neighbor had seen her a couple hours supposedly after I'd seen her last, but then she supposedly was heading down this little road that goes in front of the trailer park, down that the opposite direction of the main road towards the other trailer park, and like it's just an old country road. So I wasn't as concerned about that as I was that the last place I'd seen her was over by the main road. And if you know anything about my dog, you holler at her to come to you, she just looks at you and goes opposite. Like if I say, "Hey bird, come here," she'll look at me like I'm talking out my butthole, look right at me. And it's almost like she'll be like, "I ain't coming to you." And she'll just go right in another direction. So, you know, but that being said, I would rather have the emotions I am having this morning than what I felt back years ago after Mom's death. You know, the first few years, it was a lot of just depression and all that. But throughout the years and still going in and out of hospitals, eventually I was experiencing these, even before Mom died, I was experiencing it because I was hurting myself a couple of years before Mom ever died. I was experiencing that feeling of just like wanting to feel something and I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't, to not be able to feel love or anger or hate or pain, like emotion, you know what I mean? Like inside, to not be able to feel happy or sad. Like it was weird. Those are not good. That's there, but there's a word for it because it is an actual feeling. It's like feeling like you don't have any feelings, like you have no emotional tie to anything. Like you can't be happy or sad about anything, and everything's just like this, and it's mundane, and you just feel like you're stuck in a world that you can't get out of. Now I'm trying not to dwell on the past about mom, because mom's done been here this morning. Like I said, the presence. I'm being reassured as I'm talking right now that I am all right, and making this video is all right, and it's getting it out there. But I'd rather be a little sad this morning than to not have any emotions going on and not be able to feel anything, and to be sitting here wanting to like do something like I used to do. If you go back about 3 years ago or 4, since I've lived here, there was times when I was heavily just intoxicated all the freaking time. The first few years living here, that I would get in some bad spots in my head, and it was because I was drunk and high or whatever on something, that I shouldn't be on. But you come down off of that or whatever. And I was experiencing, I was hurting myself a little bit here, but it's been a couple of years since I've felt that way. It's been a few years since I've done anything to myself. And I thank God every day for that. The big kahuna. I didn't intend to talk this long, but I guess I needed it. So we have this past week, my cat keeper, he was here the day before, and then he wasn't. Because a neighbor on the other side of the trailer park, which is another trailer, and they have a fence in between the trailer park and their place, and they have a pretty good sized property over there. He found my cat on the back of their property, and it was after it had rained that night and everything. He had asked me that morning, he had took a picture, and it was like, "Is this your cat?" And I didn't think it was. I talked about all that. I loved my cat and everything, don't get me wrong. I mean, but I wasn't as attached to him as I am Ladybird. So, you know, it's just weird how a lot of things, to be honest with you, I think some of the burden is being lifted on me. Like, that's how I felt when Keeper disappeared. And then when I really realized it was him and that he was dead. So it's like, I wouldn't have wanted him. I didn't want him to be dead, but he's not here. So that's one less animal I have to think about feeding right now. And at that point, there was still them other 2 puppies. Within a day or two of Keeper being dead, those 2 puppies just have disappeared. Now, I did get word yesterday that those 2 puppies are down the road somewhere. They're on down past the other trailer park, down towards where Colton and his mom and her husband live, which is only like a mile and a half down the road. Now, I don't know how far down the puppies might be, and I hope that somebody's taking care of them. They weren't really my puppies, but they were staying under my trailer, and I was feeding them. And then, of course, I knew this whole entire week leading up. I've known this subconsciously going into September, what September was for me. But this whole past week, I knew we were approaching today. So then it was like yesterday, boom. I didn't think much about it. Ladybird didn't want to listen to me. I was trying to get her to come back away from the main road. It was raining. It was starting to rain again after my walk, and she was trying to go the opposite direction. I couldn't get her to come back. I came on home thinking, well, she'll make her way back soon, and she never did. She's not showed back up here. And it's so I'm accepting the fact that I may be one less animal that has been my best friend for about 5 years. But I'm going to add a positive note. During the middle of the night, well, yesterday, Astro, that red dog that I showed you, I don't know if anybody's seen him, but it's really Colton's dog, and he's kind of like a special needs dog, like a emotional sport. But he don't really go around with Colton all the time anywhere. But he'll travel for, like I said, they only live about a mile and a half down the road, maybe, or whatever. And he'll go back down there for a little while, and in between there and here, I don't know what else he does, but he's a dog. He'll roam around, and he's pretty smart. He seems to be pretty good at not knowing to stay out of the way of cars and all that stuff, and he don't chase cars or nothing. But anyway, I've been letting him stay inside a little bit the past few days because it was raining. Now last night, but he hadn't actually stayed the entire night or anything and normally I've been closing the door. Last night I kept my front door open in case Ladybird did wander back. She could just come on in, and she could come in and jump on the bed and wake me up. Well, I woke up in the middle of the night, and Astro kept trying to get on the bed last night with me and my other dog, and I really didn't want him to get up there because I don't want him to get used to it. But then in the middle of the night, he had made his way up there and was right beside me this morning. Now, my other dog, Little Big Girl, was over by the wall. I'm laying here on the edge of the bed, or towards the outer edge, and Astro was right up beside me. Now, I didn't know for sure which dog it was until I had to get up to use the bathroom or something, or I rolled over and looked. And it was old Astro. I felt like he might have could sense that something wasn't right with me. So basically, I look at it this way. If Ladybird is gone and I don't find her, and Astro wants to stick around, I'm not going to complain about that. Now, the only thing is, in other words, I'm not going to complain about it, and what else can I do about it? If she don't come back and I don't ever find her. Now, I will say this also, I would much rather like it be that if she don't come back, I'd rather just her have not came back and I don't know exactly what happened, rather than, I think it'd be harder on me. I know it would be a lot harder on me. Like if I was sitting here and I seen, say, her out there towards the road through this window and get hit, that would devastate me more than her just ended up missing and never coming back. Because I remember how bad it was when she did get hit. She had been here all of about a couple of months after the other dog had gotten hit and everything. She had showed up as a puppy. She was here for a few months. I don't think she was full size, but she wasn't like a full dog yet. Like she wasn't fully adult. And she got hit, and she survived. It hurt her pretty bad. It took a minute for her to heal, but she healed. Like if you ever seen pictures of her, she's got scars on her where some of the hair never grew back. So she's a tough dog. But that really was, you know what I'm saying? I think I would probably be able to live with, okay, she's not around no more. But I wouldn't have to see the body, or I wouldn't have to go through the process of digging a hole and maybe burying her, and if she don't ever come back, I can maybe just think, well, maybe I don't know. I'm trying to deal with it, trying to live with the fact that that being said, if she don't come back, like today, hopefully I get paid. I got to get a collar for at least, if I ain't seen her by the time I get to go somewhere and get some things done, I might just get a collar for a Little Big Girl. Because, the funny thing is, Little Big Girl is more mindful. She actually listens to me. She'll mind me better than Ladybird would, you know what I mean? As far as hollering at her to come to me. Like, all I got to do is say, hey, come here, and she comes. She comes straight to me every time, just about. You know what I mean? It's not like Ladybird, like where If Ladybird's got it in her head that she's wanting to go wander around and you want her to come to you, she ain't gonna come to you. I'm gonna end it there. I've made this video about 20 minutes here. I didn't intend to do that, but yes, as you can see, I have a lot on my mind. And now, after I stop this video here shortly, I'm gonna pour a cup of coffee and I'm gonna read the Jesus Calling reading to myself and prepare to do a video for you guys. I didn't want to get up yet. I was sleeping pretty good, but I had to get up, use the bathroom, and all that. And then I realized, you know, I may lay back down for a minute and rest. But like, if my money hits today, it'll be around 10:30 or 11, and I still got a few hours. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and, like I've already started, I'm making this video, and then I'm gonna go do some reading, drink some coffee, and then probably make another video while I'm kind of just brainstorming on what all I need to do. I don't have a ride set up or anything. I don't know if I'm going to have a ride today. I really need to wash clothes, almost everything. I have a lot of clothes to wash, and I haven't been able to get. I just don't know anybody now. My friend Lloyd, ever since Lloyd had some issues with his diabetes, and they had to take some of his foot off and had to put him in a place for rehab to learn how to walk again. And then now it's just been like his truck, before any of that diabetes stuff, his truck had broke down and he didn't have he didn't have a vehicle. It really, that's why his health depleted, because he couldn't get out of his house. He couldn't just get out. And if you knew anything about Lloyd, he's 70 something years old, and being able to drive people around and help his friends out that didn't have vehicles was like his life. But I just don't have that many people that I know in this area that I can just, be like, hey, I need a ride. It's usually a complicated situation. And then, so if I have to this today, when the money hits, I may have to take a walk where I can put money on my prepaid electric, and maybe try to pick up a few groceries and then go from there. And that's what I have done the past couple of months. I haven't really worried about whether I had a ride as soon as the money hit. I just took off on my own and got what I could do done. And then after that, found a ride to the other town, because I'm in between two towns. So I go to the closest town on foot, take care of what I got to do. Usually found a ride back, get back, find a way over back to Henniger, the other town, so I can do some other shopping and some other things. But I don't know what I'm going to do today, other than try to stay focused, stay busy, and out of my head, and honor what it is that I feel the presence of these people that have passed telling me. Don't be too down. Don't let this keep you from doing things you need to do today. Don't go and buy a bunch of alcohol and get wallowing drunk today. You know what I'm saying? I got to remember, this too shall pass. Till next time, Mr. Gray Cloud says the eternal moment, over and out. And I hope all y'all have a good day. And, like I said, I would much rather have the emotions I'm having and the feelings I'm having than not having any feelings at all. Because that is not a good feeling. Ditto, guys. I love you so much.